I think just reflecting on Friday night and Saturday afternoon's game, from a coaching perspective, it's nice to get into competition. It's nice to play against somebody. Obviously, you practice and you try to duplicate game situations, but it can be challenging at times. So it's nice to play an opponent, especially on the road. You find a lot about your team and certainly your young players and your line combinations. So having a couple games under our belt and watching the replays of the game, obviously we did some real good things down in St. Louis, and Lindenwood played very competitive against us. It was a small ice sheet, NHL standards, so things are going to happen quickly, and I thought we responded well in a lot of situations. But the nice part is, now we try to get better, and so our job in the next 3 or 4 days is to do things on the ice to make improvements in the areas that we need to improve on, and most importantly, get ready for Friday night's game and become better than what we did this past weekend. So that's the goal, that's the plan, and we'll start to execute it this afternoon as we start practice for this week.
Questions for Coach Johnson? Todd?
Correct? NCAA banner?
Yeah, that'd be correct. So I know they've got some things going on before the game, and obviously we'll hoist it prior to the face-off. As I've said in the past, I don't like a lot of distractions, and that's a major one you have to get over. And for our younger players, and it's the first time stepping on LeBon, and I'm sure we'll have a big crowd, and there'll be a lot of energy and excitement in the building. But the players that were on the team last year can certainly enjoy that festivity, but obviously when they get ready to drop the puck, that's what we need to focus on. So it'll be a fun night, and they've earned the right to go through it, and our people will do a great job of presenting it.
Todd?
What kind of things did you see out of your freshmen last weekend, getting their first look at this level? Were the eyes wide, or did they have a pretty good calmness to them?
I think I think naturally, probably for everybody in the locker room, before a game you tend to get nervous. Hopefully it's good nervousness instead of being nervous, not wanting to make a mistake. But I think as the game went on, especially Friday, they got a little bit more comfortable, and then the response coming back, starting at 1 o'clock Saturday, I thought, they looked like they had grew a little bit and were more comfortable as we started that game. Derek Gregg probably could have scored 5 or 6 goals Saturday. I mean, had quite a few chances. It seemed every time she was on the ice that she had an opportunity. I thought both our young defensemen did a nice job, when there were some situations where there were either turnovers or having to play one-on-one situations. I thought they looked comfortable. And again, for our first game, I thought overall, the younger players did well. And obviously, with Watts being her first game with us, she did a real nice job of just being composed, did a nice job on the power play. I think for a lot of players, when you have success on the score sheet early on, that's going to help with their confidence. So for her to get a couple goals over the weekend and make some nice plays, could add some more goals, that'll bode well. And my big thing is, we come back this afternoon and push ourselves, trying to get better in some areas. And, you get to Halloween, you get to Thanksgiving, that's where we need to see some improvement overall.
5 power play goals, and looked like, at least from what I was able to tell, some good movement. That had to be nice to see for the first weekend, that the power play clicking like that right off the bat with some pretty skilled players together there.
Yeah, if you look at the personnel we had, especially on our first power play unit, Abby's a real good passer. Sophia Shirley's an excellent passer, and you watch Watts perform herself, being on the half wall on her offside. She made a play late in Saturday's game on a pass that went through 2 or 3 people to hit Britta in the slot area. And so you have kids that can read plays and make good passes and see some passing lanes. It's early, we haven't worked on it a ton, but some of the goals that we saw this past weekend were an indication that we'll be able to create some things on our power play as we go through.
Brian?
You mentioned Saturday, the PK, too. That's early in the season, you don't often get a chance to work on everything you want to work on. Was that one of the things, the penalty kill?
Yeah, I mean, we lost some of our penalty killers from last year's team, so you're asking kids to step up, and we haven't spent a lot of time and energy that we need to do just because we haven't had enough practice time up to this point. And, you know, the first goal, you credit Leonard when they made a nice play. It was a tic-tac-toe, and the girl took a nice shot, and, you know, our goaltender wasn't able to see it until it was in the net. So, you know, you give them a little credit because they made a nice play and a nice shot. But, you know, if we look at film and you get the players back in that situation, you make some better reads and eliminate that. So, you know, those things we'll start working on here a little more intensely. And the other thing is we'll be able to view some of our opponents' film and see some video on what they're trying to do, and then be able to take some of those options away. But again, you know, you're going to get a little bit of adversity here early in the season. Then you just have to try to structure things and work on things and try to make them stronger.
Jay?
Mark, we've seen Penn State become a factor in the men's hockey world. Is their women's program on that same kind of path?
Yeah, they made a coaching change a couple of years ago, and Jeff does a nice job. He's been in the business. He was at Princeton for a long time. He's an excellent coach. And, you know, when you come in, you restart a program with a new coaching staff. It takes time in our recruiting world. You know, it's tough to do that in 1 or 2 years. The way the recruiting cycles have been the last several years, you know, when a new coach gets into a program, it's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 years for them to get their players in there. Do things to create a culture that they want to create, similar to what we see in Lindenwood now. They've brought in a new coaching staff, you know, and Shelley will do a great job. She's a good coach. She's got an Olympic gold medal under her belt with the '98 Olympic team on the women's side, and so it's just a matter of time. And what's that timeline? It's, you know, it's a 2 or 3 or 4 year window for them to get their players in there. But Jeff knows what he's doing. They've got a wonderful facility in Penn State. It's a Big Ten school, and it's just a matter of time before, you know, they get around the corner and become a real strong team. They're a good team right now. He does a good job of coaching it, so it'll be interesting to see how the two teams match up Friday and Saturday.